Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which my pronouns are master and sir. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Tempestuous Thursday. It's Friday Eve. I can sing, he can sing. Not really. Hope you're all doing well at this near end of the work week, as it were. Before I get into what is confusing us this evening, who's joining me in this wonderful world? Noah Asensio, yeah, let me try that again. Noah Asensio, hello. Kiever Dam, hello. Let's see. Nathaniel Taylor, hello. Absolutely Degenerate, hello. Mike R, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Somnamnul Nation, hello. Shell D, hello. Pissed Off Shih Tzu, hello. Advocatus Diaboli, hello. This is Kyle, says, hello, chat people and Scrubbles. Hello, Kyle, and thank you very much. I appreciate that. Supa Koopa Gaming, hello. Bearded Devil, hello. Who else is here? There was someone here. Oh, yeah. John Gamesman, hello. Seftus Wolf, hello. Spudgun, hello. As everyone slowly trickles in, as it were. Bearded Devil 1864. It was a very good year. Hope you're all doing well. If I missed anybody, I'll try to get some more hellos in a moment. But what has bedeviled my mind as far as TEDx in the last couple of days? Well, boy, oh boy. When they put a dump of videos on their YouTube page, they put a dump, all right. And out of them, I saw this one, Falling Forward, How to Recover Gracefully When You Biff It in Inclusion. I couldn't help but at least glance at the description of this one. I didn't read the whole thing, but just enough to know it has something to do with how to use your words correctly. What happens if you use the wrong words? How do you recover from such a sin? I don't know, but I suppose we'll find out. And I also could not help but notice that our speaker, at least by declaration of attire, is apparently a brony. I don't know if that actually comes into the presentation at all, but I couldn't help but notice that, as you might have noticed on the thumbnail. But yeah, so we're going to find out today what is the appropriate way to make up for the grand violation of using the wrong words or terms or phrases, or I don't know. But I always love learning things, and I want to become a better person, so hopefully this will help me. Who else is here real quick, if anybody else? Chicago Mike, hello. Johnny Hellcat, hello. And also, before I forget, if you'll direct your attention to the top of the chat box, Kiever Dam, as always, has so helpfully provided the links to the fundraisers for our friends Moonshock and Angry Illinoisian. If you guys have a couple of extra bucks to spare, they, their friends, and their families could certainly use the help. Both are dealing with some medical issues right now. Yeah, so if you have the ability to do that, that'd be great. If you can't donate, which is understandable, that given the times, given the economy, as it were, if you could and are able to share the links out elsewhere, that would as well be very much appreciated. So thank you for that. All right. With that, Tyrannus Alexandrius Tremirlich, hello. Judge Ugly, hello. And if I missed you, if you are lurking or if you are in the future, hello. So let's get into it. This one is a relatively short TEDx, coming in at just under 10 minutes. But hopefully it'll be packed with learnable things. As well, the bingo card for tonight is bingo card A as in Aurora. Links to the bingo cards are in the description. If you would like to join in on the poll that selects the bingo card each week, when I remember to put the poll up, just follow me on Twitter. You can find me there at the bottom of the corner at scribe_light. And yeah, so with that, let us begin. I'll start off with a few seconds for a sound test. You guys tell me if you can hear it, and then we will proceed.
In 2004.
In 2004, there will be a moon base. No, there wasn't. Still wasn't a moon base. You guys hear that all right? Sounds good, says Kiever Dam. Sound is okay, says Jaeger Pony. Yeah, I boosted it a little bit. I took out some of the background, ambient noise and tried to boost it. So it's a little louder than original production. By the way, I almost never mentioned this, but link to the original is in the description if you'd like to watch the whole thing separate my commentary for some reason.
I voted against gay marriage.
What? You voted against gay marriage? How dare you have an opinion?
I was a 19-year-old kid fresh off of a farm in rural Northeast Missouri who, in all honesty, was ignorant in a lot of ways about what the world truly looks like.
Okay. I don't know. When it came time around for my opportunity to vote for gay marriage, I just voted sure. It didn't bother me. It has nothing to do with me. Like, okay. I thought it was silly, and I know people who have religious upbringings and everything else might disagree, but I never cared. It's like whatever makes you happy. If you're two grown adults and you love each other, it's not my business. It really isn't.
And now I'm standing in front of you speaking about LGBTQ inclusion.
Oh, you are? Oh, is that what this is about? Okay.
That 19-year-old kid wasn't a bad person. That 19-year-old kid had gaps in their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. And not knowing nearly killed me.
Okay.
I spent my 20s in and out of the hospital for mental health concerns because I knew there was something wrong with me, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And in 2008, I finally said the words, "I'm gay," out loud.
Okay. I'm glad you made this realization. I hope you're happy for having come out of the fugue or whatever you've been in or were in for 4 years to that point.
And in that moment, a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I knew I was going to be okay. In the process of coming out, however, I dropped out of college. I got excommunicated from my church, and I found myself working in a textbook warehouse, picking textbooks off the shelves to go to students who were doing exactly what I wished I could do.
Okay. Well, I don't know the circumstances of your decisions, why you dropped out of college. I mean, if you dropped out of college doesn't mean you were kicked out of college, but then maybe it was a religious college. Was that it?
And my best friend came to me and she said, "Okay, you need to come with me to roller derby practice."
Roller derby practice. Like, this is where my mind went. It took me a second. That is our speaker's name. But for a second there, I thought we were at a fundraiser for bricklayers or something. But anyway, okay. Roller derby practice.
Okay, sure.
Oh, by the way, let's go to the bingo card real quick, because I already know that we got at least one square we can circle, and that's a childhood or family anecdote. I grew up in, conservatives, Missouri town or whatever. So let's go to the bingo card, remind ourselves what it is that we are looking for. Collectivizes own demographic. Not yet. Maybe so, we'll see. Systemic institutional. Again, maybe intimated, but not quite yet. Sales pitch for product or service. No. Childhood or family anecdote. Yep, I'm going to circle that one. Let me make sure gotta get my lines right here on the card. Okay, diversity, equity, and inclusion. He's already mentioned inclusion, so circling that one. Plays victim. We'll see. Microaggressions and conscious bias. I would be amazed if we didn't get there. Privilege. Similar. Contradicts own point or argument. Don't know what it is yet. Patriarchy. No. Weightless example. None yet. Wage gap. No. Feminism. Not yet. Marginalized or marginalization. If not specifically, then by implication, I'm pretty sure. A list, we'll see. White supremacy, not yet. Word salad, no. Self-vilification or wretchedness. His 19-year-old self wasn't a bad person. That's not really self-vilification, and like with anything else, you can admit to faults without necessarily vilifying or wretchedizing yourself. So we'll wait and see. Argumentative non sequitur. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Not yet. Mind reading or assumes motives. We'll see. Benevolent condescension. We'll see. Anecdote that probably never happened. None that I've heard so far that sound too beyond the pale. And lastly, leaves out vital context. So far we have childhood or family anecdote, diversity, equity, and or inclusion, and I'm circling free space. So 3 squares on the board. Let's go.
And I found myself in a roller rink, lacing up those brown leather skates, hearing the screeching and the noises of knee pads on hardwood floor.
My favorite sound.
And I was terrified.
And
you might be thinking, what in the world does roller derby have to do with diversity and inclusion?
Well, let's see. Bringing a whole bunch of disparate people together to work towards a goal where they're unified under an activity that, save for that thing, they might not otherwise have anything to relate with. Maybe something like that. Team sports, right?
And the answer comes from what I spent that first practice doing.
Okay.
I spent that first practice learning how to fall. Now, I knew I was gonna fall. That,
right.
8 wheels plus awkward Mason equals falling. But I didn't know I was going to learn 4 specific types of falls. And more importantly, how to safely recover from them. Because in roller derby, you're skating fast and in a pack and you're right next to each other. And if you fall down and you sprawl, you're going to take someone out with you and hurt them. Whether you mean to or not. And so in roller derby, there are 4 falls you learn. And in diversity and inclusion, there are 4 ways that we screw up and 4 ways that we can recover.
Oh, 4 ways this and 4 ways that. That sounds like a list to me. Circling a list. Also, hello, Ebony Williams. And anybody else? Let's see. Mentity. Hello. Anybody else while I'm glancing over? Roger Reynolds. And if I didn't already say so, Jack Frost. Hello.
And they just parallel so perfectly.
Okay.
So the first thing you learn in roller derby is roller derby stance. So you get down, you got to keep your weight forward. Because if you're going to fall, you've got knee pads on. You want to fall on those knee pads. Fall on your back. You're an awkward turtle. You know what it's like. We've all done it. We've all been there.
No.
And so you learn how to fall forward and you learn how to keep your momentum going forward.
Right.
And the first fall you learn is the knee tap. So this one is, when you see it done really well, you don't even see it. Like you're down and you're up and your knee pad hits the ground and you just pop back up and you keep going. This is a moment when you choose to fall.
I get the analogy. I don't need all the mechanics of the actual thing. Just please.
To keep the players around you safe and to keep yourself safe. This is the moment when you say to someone like myself who uses they, them pronouns, I mean they, and you move forward.
I don't care what your pronouns are. I don't care. Most of the time, if I'm using them, I'm referring to you when you're not even around. And the mystic chords of memory are going to do you no harm if I use the wrong word for you. So, I have had no problem. I've told these stories before. I won't go into them too deeply here, but I've had no problem with people I know, like have known for a long time, who I'm friends with, who have, already I'm friends with, right? Who have come to me or, the collective group of our social circle or whatever, and said, I would appreciate it if you'd call me by this now because, and the people that I've known, they've made a demonstrable effort to change their appearance and their behavior and everything else to what's more comfortable for them. And I have absolutely no problem with making that alteration in my mind when referring to them because they're my friends and they asked, nicely. And it was just one of those things. It's when people demand it or expect you to read their minds on the subject, or people that I don't know that have this presumption about it, that's when I kind of go, yeah, no. It's a mark of respect and, mutual respect, I suppose, if I were to go to the effort of that. Elsewise, no. I don't care. I really don't.
It's not a huge fall.
It's not a fall at all.
But it's big enough.
Big enough for what? You to get your feelings hurt and have to correct them on their word choice?
You don't have to make a grandiose apology. Say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
But you'd love it if they did, wouldn't you?
I'm trying so hard. You can just say, oh, yep, got it.
Yeah, okay.
And then you've got the one knee fall. And this is when you take the knee tap one step further. You go down, your knee hits the ground, you slide forward, you've got some momentum behind you. This is when maybe you say someone's name wrong.
Say someone's name wrong? Oh no. What happens then? What is the recompense for saying someone's name wrong?
And like, you know better.
If I knew better, why would I say their name wrong? What do you mean? And
it just comes out wrong.
Like what? I need an example of what are you talking about, like a mispronunciation? Like it is to me an exotic name and I mispronounce it? What are you talking about?
And you apologize. Again, you don't make a big deal out of the apology, but you apologize and you move forward. You know you messed up.
I don't know. Making an apology for something like that, I feel, would be a relatively big admission if I realized it. But I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about like someone who changed their name? What do you mean?
The third is the two-knee fall.
And
again, you take it one step further. One knee goes down, the second knee goes down, you slide forward. You're able to still hop back up without using your hands much, but you need a little more help.
Okay, you know, just in life, even whatever we're talking about, it doesn't even have to be talking about this. If you make a mistake about something, you know, you flub up, whatever. Yeah, you apologize, you move on. But where you're going is like policing people's language. They were right on the edge of like reasonableness, which is always kind of gets me. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Does the speaker have a sibling named Cool? Wouldn't that be funny? And then all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, right through the wall. That'd be something. Okay.
These are those moments when you are called in.
Oh.
When you make a mistake and you say something that you didn't know was offensive.
Here we go. Okay, see, it was the gradient. Little flubs, everything else. Oh, but now we're getting into offense. I didn't know that was offensive. You know what that means? An absence of intent. That's one. And two, offense is only ever taken, not given. Right? Especially in this instance. I didn't know that your gentle, fragile fifis would be damaged by something I said that I had no awareness of or intention of harming with. Okay.
And someone brings you aside and says, hey, that's not cool.
Hey, that's not cool. Like what? Give me an example. I'd love to know. What is an example of what is a not cool, unintentional thing to do? Hey, you know what? I'm going to call that microaggressions, unconscious bias. Yeah, I'm going to circle that one on the board. There we go.
That hurt me. Or that hurts people who identify in this population.
Oh, okay. Collectivize his own demographic. Circling that one. In fact, whatever was said does not hurt you. The only word that could possibly hurt you is muad'Dib, because it is a killing word.
Like, here's what you should do.
Oh.
And those are the moments we need to take ourselves off the rink and practice to the side. Those are the moments when we need to acknowledge that we have a gap in our awareness and can take it one step further and do better.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. This is obviously echoing back to your 19-year-old self, your gap in awareness. So you're voting against gay marriage. I am assuming, I could be wrong, but I am assuming that in the absence of your own, at that time, lack of worldly experience or consideration of others, that it was a decision and an opinion fueled primarily by your upbringing. I'll just put it as plainly as that, right? Okay. And then you realize that, you know, there are other people out there who just don't live the way that you were brought up to believe is the right way to live necessarily, and that people who don't think the way that you do are still people too. Okay, that's fine. And your gap in knowledge, your gap in experience, your gap in sort of consideration of others in that regard opened your eyes. Okay. And your own, obviously, internal struggles. But when you start trying to tell someone what they are allowed to say, when you start taking it upon yourself to align someone as a villain, that they are causing harm for something that they said that even you in your own description here acknowledge they had no knowledge of or intention to offend, that is where you're starting to go into territory. Nope. Now you're trying to dictate to someone else how they are to think, how they are to speak, and so on. Now, see, you voted against gay marriage, which is entirely your right. You could have gone on effectively believing that to be the right decision the rest of your life. And no one could honestly come along and tell you and make you not believe that. Right? And if someone took you aside right now and told you that, gay marriage is wrong, you've hurt a lot of people by going out there and saying that it's not, what would you say to that person? What would you say to that person if they tried to educate you on what not to say in order to, quote unquote, not harm people? Yeah. There's a line at which to each their own, and it's not your business. I mean, unless or until you start doing or saying things that are actually causing harm or something. Yeah. But if you just have an opinion, if you have a viewpoint on the world, someone can disagree with you, but taking you aside and starting to lecture you on it, I don't know. It all depends. Here we go.
And then you've got the 4-point fall, which is when you go down. Like you still go down forward, but you go down. Your knees hit the ground. Your knuckles are down. You're like, you got to push yourself up. The pack is halfway around the rink. You're behind. And
it's still unintentional, right?
And these are those moments when you just need to learn more. And again, do more practice.
Practice. Okay. What should I practice?
You fell down and you own it and you move forward.
Yeah. And it was also unintentional and unwanted, which means lack of intent, right?
And then we have the total Biff.
You're not going to give us an example of a 4-point fall as relates to something you say to someone else? Okay.
We all know this moment.
We do?
This is the moment where your feet fly out from underneath you. You're on your back. You're sprawling out. You take out 5 or 6 or 15 other people, maybe some of the audience. I don't even know. And you just mess up.
Mess up. So again, we're in mistake territory or unintentional action. Okay.
Whether it's intentional or not.
No. I mean, I guess unless you're trying to sabotage the roller derby, right? If you're trying to just screw everybody else up, you're just going to throw yourself into the wind and tackle people. Is that what happens? I mean, I'm sure maybe it does.
How we recover from those biffs is imperative.
Whether it was intentional or not. I think more often than not, that's an unintentional thing. People don't want to be injured, whether it was intentional or not.
Because I have seen so many people delete the comments where somebody was doing the work of education.
What?
I have seen so many people shift blame on the person that they hurt.
What?
I have seen people say, well, I didn't know any better. I'm doing the best I can. It's and deny and step away from it.
On whose judgment of misdeed? Yours? What are you talking about? I mean, I can imagine a whole bunch of scenarios that might be, legitimate given those terms, but I don't know what you mean. You have to tell me. What are you talking about? What was an example of a great crime undertaken by someone that they either tried to cover up or denied ever happening before? I mean, I've had that experience before, right? Where you say something, right? You make a statement, declarative or otherwise, and you're sure you're on the right side of making this statement. And then somebody comes in who's acting like a smartass, but they are right and you are wrong and you have to eat crow, right? I hate that. But it's the adult thing to do, to eat crow. Have I been guilty of trying to avoid eating crow in my life? Yes, because it's not fun when it happens, but more often than not, I just grit my teeth. And even when the person is being an obnoxious jerk about finding me wrong on something, right? If I find somebody wrong on something, oftentimes I'll just say, I don't think you're right. I'll try not to be a jerk about it, unless they were a jerk first or something. And it's like, that kind of exchange. But other than that, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
And what we need to do in those moments is step into the discomfort and say, yeah, I screwed up.
Okay. Again, if you legitimately make a mistake, right? If you make an assertion that you believe to be true and it turns out not to be true, if you operate under a misapprehension and somebody points out to you that you're going down the wrong path, you can either continue going down that path and double down and keep looking like an idiot, or you can just sort of grit your teeth and say, I was wrong. But what are you talking about in this instance? You're talking about saying something that someone else decided to be offended by, right? Saying something that someone else decided to be offended by. That's not necessarily a situation where someone has to eat crow. So these things do not necessarily line up, but you haven't given us any examples so far or specifics, so I'm going to circle leaves out vital context, because it really is vital for us to have a honest discussion about whatever you're talking about, to have examples. Because what you're talking about could be legitimately applied to many things, but I don't know if what you're talking about is legitimate or not.
I didn't know any better, and I'm going to do better moving forward. And you might lose people. There might be people who need to set boundaries to keep themselves safe and healthy.
What?
And not have much to do with you or as much to do with you. And that is difficult.
What are you talking about?
But we need to have these conversations.
No, okay, yeah, let's have the conversation. Let's not have abstractions and obfuscations. What are you talking about? Give me an active example. In this instance, more than many others, you need to be specific. You don't have to name names. You don't have to use any dirty words if you don't want to, but you have to give me something more than somebody said something that hurt my feelings. That doesn't cut it. No. Maybe in this day and age with this generation, that's all that's necessary. But for the rest of us, no.
So often I have found myself talking to people who, when they find out my pronouns, you can see the panic in their eyes.
Yeah, because I might be talking to somebody who is unhinged and or is going to hold against me something I have no control over. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed what has happened to people lately who end up getting dogpiled on for not behaving appropriately. Because when you start telling people how to refer to you, you're setting the rules of conduct for their speech. That's why they get panic in their eyes. Because they know that is just the leading edge of a whole mile-long minefield of possible wrongdoing. You have set yourself up as somebody who has to be walked around on eggshells.
You can see the fear of, oh my God, I'm going to screw this up so bad.
You're right, but not necessarily in the sort of placating way I think you project onto others.
And you can just see them go, okay, they, Mason, they. And you know what? I started using they, them pronouns in about 2011. I still get them wrong sometimes.
You still get them wrong. Who's them? Which of them are you referring to? Yourself? Is it some other them? Who's them? Are we talking about an individual now, or are we talking about the pronouns? What?
We're all learning. We're all on this journey together.
This is your personal crusade to get people to act the way you want them to act, to speak the way you want them to speak, and behave in the way you want them to behave, in order to protect your feelings about yourself. That's what this is. I'm not on this journey with you. Okay, this is your demand.
You know, we don't come to this with years of knowledge, of theory, and other people's lived experiences. We have to learn.
What we are you referring? Are you referring to like yourself in the royal we sense? Are you talking about everybody else? I mean, I just want to know. I want to be able to, you know, have a comprehension of who or how many are we referring to? You, us, them, we, me, what?
Regardless of what your background is, there's an area that you need to learn.
Oh, okay.
And we need to give each other permission to learn.
Oh, are you giving me permission to learn? And by learn, you mean conform to your way of thinking about yourself? Okay. Thank you, Derek LaRue. Again, thank you so much, as always. And thank you, Derek, for the super thanks that came through, I think, for the Sunday stream. I appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, always, for your support and generosity. Hope you're having a good evening so far. Anyway, yes, journey together, we, them, they, what?
And to not know. So what do you do now?
I don't know.
Well, when you identify that gap in your knowledge.
No. You are telling me I have a gap in my knowledge rather than saying I am requiring you to speak about me in a certain way. That's it. I could refer to you with whatever pronoun I felt comfortable with, you know, and it would do you no harm.
Figure out what the next baby step is to take.
I don't know. What is that?
Maybe you're ready for a giant apex jump where you take out the entire corner and fly past other skaters.
What?
If you are, good for you.
Okay. What is that a metaphor for in this instance? What are you talking about?
But if you're anything like me,
probably several country miles away, but okay.
You're probably just lacing up your skates.
What?
And you're maybe a little anxious to get out on the floor and have these difficult conversations.
I don't want to have any of these conversations. If I'm going to talk to you, I'll just talk to you. If I refer to you in your absence under the quote-unquote wrong pronoun, nothing is going to happen to you. Like these are conversations that are unnecessary to me. All right. Like I say, there have been 2, maybe 3 instances in my life where someone who was at least somewhat significant in my life as a friend or a colleague or something has made a sincere, polite request that I refer to them as XYZ, whatever. And in the absence of having any reason not to, I just did. It was no great burden to me to do so. Right? And they didn't make a big deal out of it. They didn't come down on me if I messed up or something. Right? And eventually it just became old hat. I didn't even think about it anymore. I didn't bother with it. It didn't matter. But you know what else was interesting that I did notice after the first time or so that this came up? I realized just how often I actually do refer to somebody with a pronoun. It's not very often. I'm not usually talking about people all that much. I'm not much of a gossip in that way, I suppose. Although I guess as a YouTuber, I just can't help myself. But yeah, and just how, you know, irrelevant overall it was. But I don't know. It's very important to you, I guess, or they, or we.
So practice in your head.
No.
Say, okay, if I say this, or when I say this, let's be real. I'm very good at saying things I didn't mean to say.
You cannot give everyone the benefit of the doubt and then say they have to correct themselves. And you still haven't given us any examples of what you're talking about, except for I used the wrong pronoun, which apparently is just the high crime and misdemeanor here, or said their name wrong. What do you mean? I can guess what you mean, but I hate to make assumptions.
How am I going to respond? What will my response be? And we have to take ownership of when we mess up.
What?
As I look back on my life, there are so many people and so many opportunities that I have missed out on because I was afraid to have the conversation.
Oh my God, how many times do I have to say this? What conversation? What are you talking about? You're okay. Let's see. I am circling benevolent. Mind reading assumes motive. Sorry, not benevolent condescension might come in later. But right, mind reading assumes motives. You're assuming that I have any idea of what you're talking about. You just have these difficult conversations. Like what? What's a difficult conversation? I want you to say my pronouns like this. Is that the difficult conversation? What else?
Or because they were afraid to have the conversation with me. And instead of opting in, they opted out and walked away.
Maybe because you're being obnoxious and demanding of them. Maybe that was it. Yeah, they didn't want to have a difficult conversation of having to align themselves with your way of thinking about reality. Was that it? I don't know. You're not telling us.
We have to have these conversations.
What conversations are you talking about?
We have to step out and know we're going to screw it up and not do it perfectly.
Are you talking about we yourself or we us? And who is the person who can't do it imperfectly? Is that you? Because it seems like the onus is on me to not be immediately flawed in these quote unquote difficult conversations.
And say it anyway and learn and grow and do better.
Better than what?
No matter where your knowledge gaps are, whatever your next step is, even if it's just going, Mason's a little different, but, I like him.
Oh, is that my only next step?
That's a great step.
Of course. It's a great step. Hey, you saying you like me is a great first step. Yeah, he's a little different, but I like him. That's a great first step. Yeah, boy. Let me just take that step. That's a great step. How about Mason seems a bit self-centric and trying to have a conversation with him or her or they or it or whatever would probably be more stressful and cause more drama than it's worth my time. So maybe I'll just walk away and let Mason live their life how they wish, and I'll just leave it alone. That is also an option. I'm not obligated to engage any further with you than I have to.
So I challenge you tonight, as you talk about this talk, use my pronouns.
I mean, in the course of the talk I have, amongst several others, I'm sure. See, here's the thing. If you change them tomorrow, does that invalidate anything I've ever said about you previously? Does that make my past statements like violations of the rule or something? Because, I mean, you've chosen your pronouns. They're malleable in that way from your own perspective. So is there really any wrong pronoun?
Mason spoke to us. They talked about falling forward. It's that simple.
It's more complicated than you say it, actually. Requiring people to refer to you in the way that you prefer, right? I mean, and short of you holding a position in society that was like an elected position, or if you were a police officer or something, where a title or a signifier of station or rank or position or authority would make more sense. Otherwise, I don't have to talk about you anyway that I don't want to or want to. No.
But no matter where you are, no matter what your next step is, we got to just start.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks.
Wow, okay. Yay, woo, woo, yeah, okay. I honestly thought there'd be something more substantive, Irate Bear, to that presentation than we actually got, but instead it was just a bunch of, quasi sentiments and no specifics and no examples. And I'm only 40 minutes in to what is usually at least about an hour-long show. So what do I do now? Well, we'll at least go through the bingo card, and then we'll see if we have room for anything else, time or otherwise. So let me move over to, as mentioned, the bingo card. That was kind of a, sometimes it's the luck of the draw. Some TEDx's are only 10 minutes long and they're full of jam-packed, full of interesting stuff. And sometimes you get that. So here we go. Let's go through the card one more time. I'll go through it once more by myself. If you have any arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them for a moment. Systemic institutional. I wish I could say that or that notion was brought up, but it wasn't. Not that I recall. The college was brought up, but not... Was society brought? I can't remember now. Sales pitch for product or service? No, nothing was brought up. Plays victim. Oh, yeah. Yep, at least by implication, if nothing else. It's like, that hurt. That was harmful. That hurt me, or that hurt a whole demographic you can't even see. They're off in the distance somewhere. Privilege was never said. I don't think there was anything in there I could latch on to that. So, contradicts own point or argument. What was the argument? The argument was, if you mess up, you have to pick yourself up. And by messing up, I mean saying something that I don't like. Contradicts. I don't know that there was ever a contradiction per se. No. Patriarchy, no. Weightless example. Yeah. Well, I mean, if there was an example, but there never really was an example, was there? I'm not even sure that the roller derby thing makes a whole lot of sense either, because in all of those instances, they are, mistakes that end up causing you harm. Whereas everything that was brought up was saying something that harmed somebody else, or the roller derby thing didn't make any sense to me. That didn't make any sense, because every time it was a quote unquote mistake as assessed by an outside party, you said something that made me upset. All right. That wasn't like I made a mistake in life, like I flubbed, I trusted the wrong person, or I invested in the wrong thing, or something like that. The roller derby thing didn't wash with me. Wage gap. They really didn't talk about economics so much, save for that job at the textbook warehouse. Feminism, no. Marginalization. It was definitely alluded to in the course of the talk with the gay marriage vote and the personal story of coming out and all that. White supremacy, never talked about race. Word salad. I mean, I understood what was being said. It wasn't that there was just a, litany of verbiage without any attachment to it. I just wish there was more examples of what was being talked about. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Now, this is the one where I'm kind of like, forgiving yourself for having a perspective you now don't agree with, it doesn't necessarily wretchedize yourself. And it was brought up that they still make mistakes with their own pronouns. I don't know if that makes it self-vilification, though. I'll leave that for somebody else. Argumentative non sequitur. Brought up something and never talked about it again. I could have gone the entire thing without having any idea about the coming out situation or anything, and I could have just moved. I don't know if that counts. Argumentative non sequitur. Yeah, or the gay marriage vote thing. I don't know. Does that really count towards the argument? So nebulous. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I didn't hear anything new there. Benevolent condescension. Yeah, obviously everybody here makes these mistakes, obviously, and I'm just going to, I'm going to let it go as long as you apologize. Anecdote that probably never happened. If there were any anecdotes, but there weren't really any anecdotes, everything was wrapped up in this roller derby metaphor, and the only anecdotes were voting on gay marriage, dropping out of college, and ending up in a textbook store. Other than that, nothing sounded like it was a too good to be true moment or anything. So, all right, well, that's where I'm at right now on the card. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, let me know in the chat. And we'll see what we get. Payar de Bayar. I wonder how Cunt felt Cunt did after that. What? Think did a good job and was well received. What? I mean, I'm not going to be mean about it. You don't be mean about it. Roger Reynolds, take your expectations of these takes and cut them by a third or have them real low. I know. I don't know. I tend to at least extend the benefit of the possibility that whoever's talking about a particular subject knows enough about their subject to make it interesting, even in a 10-minute talk. But hey, what do I know? Judge Ugly Scribe, he's the hero we need, but not the hero we deserve. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a hero. I won't say I'm a hero. I mean, if you want to call me a hero, that's a good step. That's a good first step. Some Mason said that they are guilty of misgendering too. This is self-vilification. Misgendering is, by those standards, you're right. You're right. Even I still get them wrong. Right? Was the statement. Even I. All right. Well, that has at least eked us out a single.
Bingo.
What? Of course!
Our first and possibly only bingo. So thank you, some nation. Let's see. Accept my thingy or I'll scree. Oh, the what to call me? Yes, this is what you must call me. I mean, I knew this was going to deal with pronouns in some way, shape, or form. I just thought there'd be more to it than that, and at least some more examples. That's why I made that joke at the top of the show. I at least knew that much from the description of the talk. I didn't think that would be it, and like nothing else would come up or be detailed. Advocast Diablo, even I voted against gay marriage with self-fulfilling. Well, you see, now that one, Mason, just for clarity, Mason, gave the reasonable out of, I didn't know this at the time, or I had a different way about it, and so I wasn't a bad person, I just had a different perspective. And in just being generous, everybody has been in that situation one way or the other, regardless of the circumstance, right? And that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't necessarily vilify you. So it wasn't like, oh, I used to go out with my friends and I beat up anybody who looked different or something like that. So either way, we found the self-vilification justification. Chicago Mike, could fall forward be a buzz phrase, though it's not new? I don't want to give that much credit here because that really isn't a novel idea. I wouldn't want to justify the almost nothingness of this presentation by saying that was some new idea. I don't think so. And I know it's also a bingo square, which the bar is raised much higher. Thank you, Kieverdam. Here you go, Master Sir. Oh, thank you, Kieverdam. Thank you for respecting my pronouns. You may now grovel or whatever it is people like you do. Thank you, Kieverdam. Derek Lou, pronouns are something a child would come up with. I can't take them seriously. I can't take the demand for them seriously. Right? Now, here's the thing. It's always a very touchy subject, right? People who are actually and have actually gone to the effort of and been through all the hoops of being transgender, right? And some people pass much better than others, and it's very easy for your sort of reflexive assessment of the world to apply certain pronouns to some people over others, depending on their appearance, how much they've progressed in whatever they're doing, and so on. So sometimes there's not really any effort needed. And it's like, of course, the YouTube sort of go-to is Blair White, right? It is easy for me to refer to Blair White in her absence as a her. It's not that tough. I know that Blair White is not, in fact, biologically a her, but just referentially, it's not that much of a mental stretch for me to just say her. Right? It's no effort for me to do so. It doesn't harm me in any way, and I don't feel like I'm being made to do so. It's those that demand it, or those that demand that I look past reality to refer to them as anything other than male or female. It's when we get into the they, it's the collective one. It's like, no, it's no. I can be convinced, and I can even be argued to successfully to refer to someone as the opposite gender. That's not that far afield in both my direct experience and just elsewise. But when you start getting into the I am legion, I am more than one, that's of all the pronoun demands that I hear either directly or otherwise in the world, that's where I start going, or you start demanding I refer to you by some alien term with an X and a Y in there somewhere, like Z, Zer, Zim, and all. No. Okay. It's you're one or you're the other. If you want me to refer to you as a female and it's obvious that you are aesthetically a female, that's not too tough, or vice versa. But no, it's the bigender, trigender. No, you're not non-binary. None of that stuff. That goes into fantasy land. I'm just no. That's a step too far. One step beyond. Anyway, any other arguments for squares, guys? And then my question would be, we're only almost an hour into this, and I feel like I haven't really done much of a show. Maybe, now I know, I'm pretty sure, that Polydub is running the AAA stream right now, which is usually a bit later in the day than usual. So if we wrap up here, relatively early compared to past streams, you might go check out Polydub. And I would think Sinatra and Drunkle over there, maybe. I don't know who's on right now, but at least Polydub is. Elsewise, let's see. Advocatus, I demand you not give in to Mason's demands, and thus the universe shatters into a million people. Yeah. Like, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. You say the wrong thing about the wrong person at the wrong time, unless they decide to make a big deal out of it, it's just one of those things, and move on with your life. It's fine. But yes, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. I know it's relatively short, but then the talk was relatively, empty, which just happens from time to time. But now, a reminder, because this is going to come up next week, starting next week, which will be the first TEDx of February. February is going to be my first experimental theme month. So starting for February's shows, I think there's all of 3 or 4 of them, something like that. It'll be Superpowers Month. I will go through the TEDx library and find those talks which contain the phrase or similar to, my superpower is blank. And then we will see what kind of superpowers I can come up with or find in the course of TEDx history. And there are a lot of them, trust me. Now, thank you again, Chicago Mike. Our house in the middle of the street. Our house is a very, very, very fine house. I know that's not the right song, is it? That's where my mind went. But thank you, Chicago Mike. I'm a jukebox, but I'm not like an endless jukebox. So yes, next week, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, will be the first in Superpowers Month, February, where we will go through a superpower TEDx and find out how something is someone's superpower. And I'll try to find a different superpower for each episode in February. So look forward to that. Also, Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern will be the Sunday stream, the stream I do on Sundays, because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays, where I'll talk about a thing. I don't know yet. I'll probably decide on Saturday. You'll just have to wait and see. And of course, there's always the possibility I might do a surprise stream somewhere in the course of the week on some subject or other that pops into my head. But either way, keep an eye out for that. Also follow me on Twitter at scribe_light. Oh, and also, presumably not this weekend, but next weekend, the weekend of the 4th of February. Fingers crossed, it all lines up, but I am looking to have my second edition of Living on Borrowed Crime, where I'll be interviewing Dave's Lemonade, a true crime content creator here on YouTube, which is a series that I've been wanting to do more episodes of, but it's all about getting people's schedules and time zones lined up, and that's not always easy. So looking forward to that. Keep an eye out for that. And if you go check out Dave's Lemonade on YouTube and check out his stuff and you like his stuff, he does long form true crime analysis content. Say hi and let him know I sent you there, because that might, make him happy. It's a good first step. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the GoFundMes, or fundraisers, I should say, at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Hope you all have a good rest of your Thursday night and the rest of your week. Hope your weekend is fun and healthful. I hope you're all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.